So a good friend of mine was asking me what my opinion about jealousy and envy is, and I thought I'd make an episode about that. Envy. We've all felt it sometime in our lives. We all have seen that someone that had something that we didn't, and that made us feel bad. A lot of people think that envy and jealousy are the same thing, but there's a slight difference between the two. Jealousy is the fear of something or someone being taken away from you. You know how it feels if you've ever been in a relationship. It's not quite the best feeling. We start feeling envious if the neighbor, for example, has a nicer car, a nicer house, a nicer garden than us. And what do? We start gossiping him. And why do we do that? Because he has something that we don't, and that affects us. But my question always was, is it true that they have more, or is it just an illusion? The problem with us, human beings, is that way too often we only see the surface. We almost never look inside. I've heard people asking themselves, is there any way to get rid of envy? Well, sometimes this feeling, in very small quantities, can get us to work harder. But this depends a lot, because if we do it just to have the same thing as our neighbor, we haven't achieved anything. The thing with envy is that it usually shows us what really matters the most to us. Way too often we put materialistic things as our first priority. We tend to forget that when we die, we will not take the car or the house with us. Yet, if we see someone that has something more than us, we work more to make more money, to buy more things just to show them that we're not inferior. I once hung out with a group of people when all of a sudden we saw an Aston Martin driving down the road. None of us knew the person that was driving the car, but a lot of the ones that I was with started to talk bad things about that person. When I asked them if they knew the guy, all of them denied, but they said that it was easy to see what kind of a person that was just by judging the car he was driving. I then started to realize that even if they didn't knew that guy that had more money and was driving that car, they felt better by standing there and just gossiping that guy. I saw that instead of trying to figure out ways to make more money so that they eventually will be able to drive a car like that, they talked about that person for hours in a row like it was their enemy. So after a while, I started to deny hanging out with them anymore. You should stay far, far away from people that judge others just by their possessions, or people that judge others in general. I know that it is much easier to just sit down and gossip about others, but be aware that nothing good will come out of that. If you find yourself in a group like that, you should get out. People like this aren't healthy for your life. It may be hard, and you will most likely hear words like, "What the is wrong with him? He stopped gossiping with us. What an idiot." But the positive part of that is that you will see who your actual friends are. As I said in one of my previous episodes, the ones that are trying to drag you back from building your own dreams are usually the ones that cannot build something for themselves. And it is not that they aren't able to achieve whatever they want. Everybody can. But as you may have heard before, success will not knock on your door if you're sitting on the couch the whole day. If you hang around people that are constantly complaining, that are not doing anything but gossiping and talking about getting drunk, and that try to drag you down to their level, you should get up and go away. It may be hard in the beginning, but in these 17 years of mine, I somehow realized that sometimes you have to go through fire to get to the water. Losing a so-called friend that does all of the things that I've just mentioned is not a losing, but a winning. And if you will try to argue, just remember what a great man once said. If you're an envious person, try to understand that the difference between you and the one that apparently has something more than you do is that that person found out what he loves to do and it keeps getting better at it, while you haven't. When you found out what you love to do, you should dedicate your whole time to it and the money will come before you notice. But you should be aware that if you start something just for the money, you failed already. Don't do it just for the money. Do it because you love it, because you're passionate about it. A lot of people say that they're afraid to do what they're passionate about because they fear what the rest of the world is going to say about them. But let me tell you something. Regret is a much worse and painful feeling than fear. There is no reason to care if people are going to laugh about you or talk behind your back. Success will make so many people hate you, it will drive them crazy. But instead of giving up on what you're doing just because of some lazy people talking bad things about you, you should remember that as long as you're doing something right, you will always have those so-called haters picking on you. So keep your head up and move forward. Show people an example. Don't try to change the world, it will not work. But instead, what you can do is changing yourself and the rest will follow you. Be a role model. The world, the people that are around us are just our mirror. So if you want to see something different in that mirror, who should be the first one that changes?